What is up, guys? Pixels to Life here, and I've brought Evan and Zach back on to do our second installment of our design podcast. We enjoyed it so much the first time, we decided to go ahead and do it again. So we're having fun. Hope you guys are having fun. And before we get into it too deep here in our deep intellectual conversation, I just want to thank you guys for the support on the first episode. We really enjoyed reading the comments and stuff like that. And if you guys have any questions that you want us to cover in the podcast, please let us know on Twitter. Just tweet at us, and we'll take a look at those and try to answer as many as we can. So, with that being said, we'll jump right back into it. But I just wanted to cover that before we got into it.
What were their comments? There was comments somewhere? Was that on SoundCloud?
Mostly on Twitter. Yeah.
Mostly
just the support on Twitter.
They liked it. I don't know.
Yep.
I said like a month ago that something like this would just be huge to a design.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like it for design, as far as I know. Within the YouTube community, anyways.
Yeah, I've gotten nothing but compliments and laughing and story sharing. Awesome.
That's what it's all about, man. We're just here to entertain while you work, because that's how we work. So we figure, why not share stories and tips and tricks and 3-inch fixes and.
Speaking of tips and tricks, what do you guys get asked about the most, like as far as design stuff? Like,
oh my god, you wouldn't believe some of the ones I've got asked.
What do you get? Like what's your most popular question that you get asked? Besides, can I get a free whatever?
Oh, okay.
That's number 1, 2, and 3.
No, it's between how do you create a new layer?
Oh,
yeah, layer.
And do a tutorial on this, please. Or can you do a tutorial?
Yeah, most of my questions stem from specific videos, techniques that I use in a specific video. But the question that I get asked the most in my YouTube comments is, what version of Photoshop do you use, or what program do you use?
Yeah, I get that a lot too. I think to myself, like, you watched a video, you saw the PS. I mean, there's got to be something. Maybe it's Adobe Photoshop. I don't know.
Nope.
I've been asked about logos a lot lately. Like,
logos?
It seems like you see, like, I don't know, I'll see a trend of, like, questions, and it'll just kind of, you'll see, like, how do you get this type of effect? And I'll get, like, it's weird, I'll get like 4 or 5 people asking me the same effect question, and then the next week it's like, how do you get, like, cleaner lines in Manga Studio or something? And then this week I've been getting a lot of questions on logos, which is very bizarre. I don't know, like, you guys talking to each other and figuring out what to ask or what, because I don't know.
No, I've been doing a lot of logos lately, so I've actually been getting a lot of those too. But a lot of them.
Do you get them like in like chunks?
Yeah, yeah. Like, for instance, like those 3D, like the 3D cluster like shapes that I do.
Oh yeah, yep.
Everybody's been asking me, and I put out a tutorial last week.
Yeah.
So, like, they're like, dude, do a tut on that. I'm like, that last week, man. Like, but no, it's I get them in clusters. But a lot of people have been asking, because I've been doing a lot of, like, in Illustrator, making a font and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've just been making fonts and, making certain, like, types of styles, logos, and people have been asking, what font is that? I'm like, it's not a font. Like, it's just my eyes. It's really it.
Yeah.
Fonts are hard, man. I've learned that the tough way. Fonts are way hard.
They're frustrating.
Yeah. right when you get it like a good base of letters, then you go in there and you realize, oh, I got to do all this punctuation too. This is fun.
Yep.
Especially when you have to like compress them into like the .ttf files, and those programs themselves are
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And then I've been trying to get into the habit of doing like as many as I can, because I'll get asked for those characters that I don't even know what alphabets they're in. They're like the A with the 2 dots over them, or like the A and the E shoved together. I know I've seen that like one other place, maybe on a record cover at one point, but I don't know where that comes from. So I'm like, I hope this is correct. I'm gonna stick 2 dots here, and I'll stick this weird like quote on this one, and
the E with the little squiggle above it.
Yeah.
Which I know that's Spanish, so.
Yeah.
The ends, the ends with the I think it's called a acute. No, there's a word for it. The little swish top.
Yeah, there's a word for
idea.
it. I think the 2 dots is like a German thing.
Yeah.
I know there's like certain dots are for Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Cyrillic, isn't it? Cyrillic characters are like crazy.
Oh, they're weird.
Yeah. No, I haven't even started to even look at that stuff yet. I'd probably go nuts. But I have to imagine though, if these fonts that I'm making, if people are using them, as with these special characters, I'm wondering what people are thinking when they see it. Like, man, that's a messed up. What did he do there? Why? This guy's got it all screwed up,
Well,
and it makes those types of things into like an actual alphabet, like into your font. Like it kind of looks cool as hell. I mean, like because there's like different like squiggles that like make shapes that like look like an E, but it's not. It's a completely different thing, and it's like weird.
It's fun.
Like it.
It's fun though.
Time consuming.
It's super frustrating though whenever you get a font and it doesn't include all the characters, because
that's
like when you like put the period and then it says like made by so and so and so, and that big block there.
Yeah,
it'll say like free, or something. And it's like I want the lowercase L, and it's like free.
Damn it.
No, but I hate that when you got almost a full alphabet and then you're missing like one apostrophe or something.
Yep.
It's like, all right, now I got to go through. I end up just going through my entire alphabet of fonts and seeing what looks close that I can just dump in there. But that's a real buzzkill when you run into that.
So don't do that, font makers. If you're listening.
I can't wait to take like a calligraphy class. That would be awesome.
Yeah, dude. I'm thinking about doing the same thing. Like I used to be like, school, screw it. I'm never going back to school. But I've been kicking around the idea of like even just going to the local college here and kind of crashing their art department and see what's cooking and what I can get my hands on, because I don't know. It just seems weird, I hear about people, that go back to school way late in life and stuff, and it's always like, why? Yeah, but now it's starting to make sense, which...
You left for a reason, why are you going back?
Yeah, it's like weird and scary at the same time, like, oh, that's normal.
I've got mad respect for those guys that do those pen or pencil drawings of fonts, where they just do the writing, and they're just insane handwriting. Some of the stuff from like Sueda, did I butcher his name? I feel like that's how it's pronounced, but
Suede or whatever his name is.
Sueda, yeah. I follow him on Instagram, and he's just busting out this crazy stuff, and I'm just like, you're next level, man. I got nothing on that.
I'm still, I can't. I'm not a font guy. You need a brochure. You need an advertisement.
Hey.
You might get the itch, dude. You might get the itch to try it out. I never, I was always afraid of it, because even font programs were too expensive, and I never wanted. And then finally one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to figure it out. And it's like a tattoo, dude.
Yeah, it's like a dick. I'm sure it is. No, I'm sure it is. It's just like that. I don't want to start, because I don't know. Everyone always thinks that you start out on something and you're automatically good at it, and that's just how I think about it. Like anything in the design field, I'll start it and just be like, oh yeah, this is easy. But then you come to the realization, you put your hands on it, and you just look at it like, Jesus, I suck. And then you, like, you know, redo it, and it's all good. But it just takes time to get really good at those things.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of programming recently, and I just, like, whenever I try to, especially whenever I was trying to learn PHP, I was like a toddler trying to figure out how to talk for the first time. It was awful.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
It's one of those things. I don't know. I stayed away from code. You know, I was kind of behind the curve on some web dev stuff for a while, just because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna have a use for it. You know, and then I started seeing it crop up everywhere, and figured, oh, I guess I got to figure it out. And then, you know, you have times like those. Then you have times where it looks like fun, and you just get drawn into it, and you start, you know, with other mediums or whatnot that, you know, there's no other reason to get into it besides it just look like fun.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's just design itself. Just what else can I get my hands on?
yeah.
Yep. So something I wanted to talk about last time, and we just never got around to it or whatever, but as we so often do. But I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about Photoshop CC. I know that Zach is the only one that actually utilizes it at this point, but just your thoughts on when you heard about it the first time and the actual implementation of it. What do you guys think? Zach being our resident expert on this.
I love it. It's great. No, it's a great. It's great because, you know, you get a lot of college. I mean, let's be 100% honest here. Everyone kind of knows that Photoshop and Adobe is probably one of the most pirated things out there. I mean, millions of people have that illegally, and
which is why I think they went to this system.
Which is, I think, one of the reasons they went to this method. But I also, probably a lot of the people that pirate it are college students that are, you know, either working in design or even just kids in high school that, you know, wanted, you know, test out the waters. And to be honest, that's the reason I really do like CC, is because really in CC you get everything. You get a full master suite of any different program. It's more than just a master suite. You get, like, pretty much any. I mean, let me look at my master or the apps I can get. I can get InDesign, After Effects, Illustrator, Photoshop, Audition, Bridge, Dreamweaver, Edge Code, Edge Inspect, Edge Reflow, Panel, Fireworks, Flash, Builder, Premium, Flash, Professional CC, Gaming, SDK. Like, it goes on for hours. Premiere, all those different ones, and you can use them. There's no extra charge. You pay $50 a month, and you can get everything you want, and you can drop it whenever you want as well. So if you just aren't, you know, if you're the type of guy where it's like, I want to try out design for a little bit, $50 you can pay up front. You can use anything you want. If you don't like it, stop paying $50. And it's the greatest, and you get free updates. It's like all that stuff, and it's, I mean, basically I have Photoshop CS6, the newest update there is. So I mean, I'm a little anxious to see, like, if CS7 comes out, like what they're gonna do with, like, if I'm gonna have to pay a fee or whatever, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering is whenever they do future stuff, like, that's kind of what the CC was for, so that you could get the updates and you don't have to buy the program every single year.
Yeah, and it's great.
What does CC even stand for? I don't even know what it's.
Creative Cloud.
Yeah, Creative Cloud.
So, I don't know. I still use CS6, and I don't even remember how I got it. I mean, I paid for it, but I don't remember if it was I think it was right before the. No, it was a good chunk of time before the whole cloud thing, before the subscription model.
Yeah, because CS6 came out, and then CC came out about like a year and a half later.
Okay, so I must have got CS6 purchase and download from Adobe, because I don't have discs for that. But I was on CS4 for a long time. I never used 5 or 5.5 or any of that stuff. So it was kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I just I don't even remember why he got CS6. I don't remember what the big difference was, to be honest. I just had...
It's really just filters. I mean, that's really it.
Was it? I don't even use them. It was just like CS4 it worked.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, some of the filters that they always add are like, why are you adding filters that no one's going to use? Like, it's like... I barely use half the ones that you have in there anyways, so what's the point? And then the same thing with, like, the 3D thing. They added, like, that 3D in Photoshop.
Yeah.
It crashes my Photoshop every time I use it.
To, like, render lights?
Right. Kind of like render lights. I just feel like, 3D and Photoshop is like a raster program that's more of like a, 2D design type stuff. And, of course you can get the 3D aspect of it. But if, like, you're going to go into, like, 3D modeling and stuff like that, that's where, like, 3ds Max, Cinema 4D, that's, like, where... That's the whole point of those programs, is to get the 3D aspect.
I'm honestly surprised Adobe... I'm sure Adobe's working on a standalone 3D. I'm surprised they haven't bought anybody else after all these years.
Yeah.
It is surprising. Although I don't know who 3ds Max is made by.
That's, I used to know. Somebody will post it in the comments. I don't remember who...
Yeah, but I've never used 3D Max before, so...
I've never used 3ds Max. I've only... my only experience is Cinema 4D. That's it.
Yeah, so, I mean, the reason why I still use CS4, so... And the reason is...
There you go!
I don't have any reason to upgrade to it. I'm not missing out on any major features, and... I don't know. I already bought CS4, so why upgrade?
No, and I mean, unless you want oil paint, I mean, CS4's fine.
Pixels to Life now, specializing in oil painting, guys. It's happening. Speed art up later.
I didn't even really know that was a plugin, and then I found out about it, and I was just like, "This is the coolest thing in the world." And then I used it, and I realized that it kills your when you like save your file, my file sizes were like triple the size.
What, for an oil paint filter?
Yeah. Because if you get like if you set it to like a certain detail, like a certain brush stroke, you'll get it like in like how much you want it to shine and stuff like that. It'll blow your whole computer up.
That's kind of the thing.
Well, I might have to download it just to try. Well, I've got it downloaded. I forget, man. I have.
If you have CS6, you have, dude.
I've got CS4 that's like part way on here because I can't figure out how to get the rest of it off. It doesn't want to uninstall. And then, so I don't know if it says it's in like the registry. I don't know how many files are actually still there. But then I have CS6 going. But I have 32-bit and 64-bit installs, and I forget why. I think all of this had to do with trying to fix that stupid pressure button.
Yeah.
In with the tablet, I've spent so much time trying to fix that thing that in the process I've got like 10 different versions of Photoshop on here, and now I don't use any of them for painting. I go to Manga Studio because I keep getting the stupid bug.
I got a question. This is just completely off track, but I heard, is there a way to paint in Illustrator? Like use brushes and stuff?
Yeah, there's a live paint mode. So I tried it out. Actually the Riot Lion thing I did for Syndicate, that's all live paint in Illustrator.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of sloppy, because I was trying to figure out how to do it, because it's very strange. I used something.
It's pressure sensitive and everything.
Yeah. It's not as I find you get much better, like, it's vector, but I find you get much better lines in the kind of the human element in like a raster program. But
right,
Illustrator, it just, I forget what tool I used. I think it was called like the bubble brush or something, or the it was bizarre. It's like this big fat brush, and that's what when you go from Photoshop into or any raster program into Illustrator, your mind goes straight for the, what's going to just be a round brush, that's a set dimension, and it's going to put big, thick lines everywhere it goes, because that's what you're used to, right? And from Photoshop. Well, after I did that artwork, and I to me it looked good, and then I realized I was looking at some tutorials, and I was using the wrong brush the whole time. So the real brush you're supposed to use actually does strokes everywhere. So it's like outlines, and it's it just, when you're looking at it and you're working on it, you have to get used to it. It just looks weird. It looks like, because it's just like paths, right? So you draw a stroke and it's just a path, and then depending on how much pressure is the width, or the, how narrow or how wide that outline gets on that path. But everything's in paths. So if you like Control A, you just see like a bunch of squiggles. It's hard to because you don't see the actual shape of the stroke. You just see the path. So I kind of, that's when I was like, I'm done, I'm going back to the other program.
No, because I saw when I was watching, what was it for? I think it was for Louis Calibre, the gorilla thing you did. And I saw that you brought it into to Illustrator for certain, for an aspect of a point for some of the hair or something.
Oh yeah, I forget why I did that. I'll depending on,
because I was so curious, because I saw you draw the whole thing out, and I was like, okay, this is some sort of studio program. I didn't know what it was. I've never seen it, so I assumed it was something like Photoshop or something weird like that. But so I was watching it, and then I saw you brought it into Illustrator, and then in Illustrator you started using the strokes of you used a different stroke for the paths, and you started using this thing with to get the points, and it looked amazing, of course, because you already drew it out, but you kind of you saved certain areas of where you needed it to be. I was just confused on what it was.
Oh, well, that's the and I just came across that recently. Actually, I didn't really, I didn't know about this before, but there's these presets that you can use for a stroke in Illustrator, so you can have it tapered at one end, have it go 20, and then you can have, there's the width, there's a width tool that's kind of cool, so you can actually grab on a path and tell it, and pull how wide or how narrow it's supposed to be, so you can start getting some variety in your lines. But that even works differently than the preset, so there's still a lot of back and forth trying to figure out why, some lines will go straight to a 0 point and become like a long triangle, right? So you have a wide end, and then you have it tapers straight off into a sharp point. But then if you use the width tool and you shrink that point all the way down on a regular line, you get this bubble thing. It's No,
it's actually the same thing. I've been screwing around with it. A lot of my logo work is done in Illustrator, so I don't really screw with Photoshop. But sometimes when I'm using when I'm editing a font or something like that to make it look a little bit more to what I need, I use Photoshop because it's just easy. It's there. But when I pen tool it, because I like to add strokes and stuff like that around stuff, and I'll pen tool it and put it into Illustrator. The weirdest thing happens is some of those because it takes all the points that you make, of course, with your pen tool.
Yeah.
When you export the paths, when you add a stroke onto it, sometimes the point will go right into a perfect straight pointy line, and then sometimes it'll do this curve thing, or it'll a square, and I'm that's not the whole point of it. It's weird.
That's I forget it. You get that? What's that prompt you get when you say you make a path, and then you right click and you save it as a work path?
Yeah.
And it gives you that weird prompt where you have to put in a number, or threshold or something.
Oh yeah.
It does something where it's trying to simplify it somehow, and I've seen that happen as well, where I want to save, I'll get an outline going of something, and then I'll want to save that path to fill it later or something.
Right.
And then I'll notice that, some where it was curved before went straighter, and it's not where I wanted it, and I don't know why it does that.
Yeah, it's almost like a feather on the selection of a marquee tool.
Yeah.
It doesn't feather enough. or it feathers too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I've been using this stupid program since version 3, and it's still like a big box of mystery half the time.
I posted something the other day. This is a while back, but I was talking about. I said, "You guys are just now getting PS4. I had it back in 1996." Talking about the PlayStation 4, but actually, I was talking about Photoshop 4. I think I'm clever.
Remember when I first got my PlayStation 1?
God.
Yeah, there was some good games on that.
Oh man, Tekken was like my favorite game of all time.
I played Wipeout for days. It had the best soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. And what's it called? Crash Bandicoot.
Yep.
PlayStation 1, my jam was Jet Moto.
Yeah, Jet Moto was awesome. It had the song. It was like.
Yeah. It's a Wave Runner racing game.
Yeah, it was like you were on the little like wave runners, and you can just like race through people. It was awesome.
It had different tracks and stuff.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to dig it up.
It's pretty sweet.
Now we're getting into the era of we can talk to our consoles.
Mm-hmm.
We try to.
The amount of times I've yelled at my Xbox One and it doesn't respond, it's too high.
I really, man, it's like any first generation thing. It's always just half there.
It's not even that it's half there. They literally took Windows 8 and put it in a console.
That.
Oh yeah. I mean
it's horrible.
They say this about cars, right? This is the same saying about cars over years and years and years. If they change, the body and major parts in the engine and stuff, it's like that first year you just kind of
right.
watch it and maybe come back when they fine tune it, because they rush it. They always do. Everybody rushes it. You're trying to get it to market, so.
You're 100% right, and it's frustrating because you look at like the Xbox 360. It took them 2-3 years to perfect that red ring problem, right?
See, I didn't have a first one, so this makes me wonder. Like the only consoles I had a first of was an Atari 5200, which those were the same. They didn't ever get better or worse. They just stayed the same. And then I don't think I had a first Nintendo. I don't think I had a first PlayStation 1. Mm-hmm. This is probably the first console that I've had that's the first of the generation. So
exact same way.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how the 360 was and how I got a PlayStation 2 for my brother for Christmas one year. I stood out in front of Best Buy at 3:00 in the morning waiting for that stupid black box, and his was fine, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, PlayStation. Honestly, I don't think PlayStation's ever had a problem with anything. But I think it's because they are a hardware company. They know what goes wrong. Let's be honest.
They're not building an operating system.
They know what's going wrong. Like, they're a hardware company. And the thing with Microsoft is when they first came up with the 360, I still remember, because that was one of the first ones I ever got that was like, I got the arcade that was like, it was like 2006, 2007, like a brand new Halo 3 was out on it. Like, I remember a year later, the thing was red ringed. I ran out to the, I think it was like a Target or GameStop. I bought a new one with my money.
Right.
So with the first gen conversation, that's exactly why I haven't gotten an Xbox One or PS4 or Photoshop CC for that matter, because that I do have that fear of the first generation releases of new programs or software or hardware. I'm a little uneasy about it, and I think it actually stems from the Red Ring of Death Xbox issue, and it just had so much problems. Actually, the first gen that I had the most issues with was the Razr for Motorola, the cell phone.
Oh yeah,
you remember those?
I wanted those so bad. You don't understand.
I got the first generation.
Box if you want it.
I wanted one of those so bad.
I got the first generation one of those, and it cost $500, and I couldn't get any insurance on it, and I had to replace it at least 3 times. It was awful.
I don't know what generation I had, but I definitely had a Razor where it was when I was trying to go to I don't remember what phone I went to after it, but they were trying to do the connection cable where it connects. They do it at the kiosk where they had to connect
your
one phone
contacts
together
and
and move the contacts over. Yeah, and it was like not cooperating. I had to manually go through and input every single one again.
That's the worst.
It was a cool looking phone. And then there's like, this makes me think of like Matrix. Remember the phone in Matrix?
Oh my god. Yes.
Briefly.
That was like, everybody wanted that phone. I don't even know if it hit the market.
I saw this funny meme the other day. You guys remember those old Nokia phones? They kind of look like little bricks.
Oh, yeah.
And they just lasted forever. I saw this meme the other day, and it was a picture of one of those Nokia cell phones, and on the screen it had a text message, and it said this is the final Horcrux, like from Harry Potter, and it said try to destroy this. Or good luck destroying this or something. I was like, so true. You will never do it.
I got a good buddy that carries a phone that he's had since, I want to say, 98, a cell phone. It has no service. It doesn't work anymore, but it's a pretty great bottle opener. So he carries that thing everywhere.
Oh my god.
And it's still, that's his bottle opener. He pulls out this brick of a phone, and it's got like a niche in it just perfect where it works like a charm.
So Zach, have you noticed any issues with your Photoshop stemming from the addition of
any issues with Photoshop? God, well,
obviously there's issues prior, but any specific ones that popped up after CC was released? Did they add anything new to it?
I mean, I'm going to keep ripping on Evan for this one. The lighting effects thing doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know.
CS4.
CS4 Master Race.
I think it's either CC or CS6 or it's a bug or something. It just doesn't work.
All programs have something though. I mean, I was messing with Manga Studio today, and they did an update. Now I notice that when you're on your typical arrow tool and you go to like move a layer, nothing moves. But if you have rulers turned on, you can see the rulers moving, like you're moving the whole canvas or you're moving something, but it doesn't move. You have to actually Ctrl+T and transform it, and then you can move it. So I mean, they got their bugs too. It's just it's frustrating, but I'll take that over that pressure bug I was dealing with for so many years.
Oh yeah, but no, to be honest, I mean, I think I think everyone probably has the same bug as me. Just when you're running too many programs on your computer, it just shuts down. It just freezes for you. I mean, that's just the normal thing. I mean, I run. I mean, my iMac is an old iMac. I mean, it's a newer iMac, but it's an older one. It's like I got it when I was 18, so.
Yeah, well, when you're talking Macs, it's outdated after like a month, right?
Yeah, that's the only difference, I think, is with Macs and PCs. PCs can go, I mean, if you get a great PC right away, I mean, that thing will last you 10 years, and you're going to be fine with it, and it'll update, and it'll be great. Mac, after 3 years, you got to get a new one. I mean, it's really, it is what it is, but my Mac is just an older Mac. It's definitely worn down, but it's just whenever I seem to like when I have like a lot of programs open, it just freezes on me and won't respond. So it'll say like closed to respond, and that's really it. But I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I ran into this bug. It was the weirdest thing in the world, and Evan's gonna figure because you use this filter all the time, and I see it. I actually got it from you, but. I was doing one of those clusters, and I was doing like I wanted to try something cool, and I wanted to do this find edges type thing with it.
Yeah.
And I went to I went into filter, find edges on a duplicate of it, and I hit Command I, and my whole the whole Photoshop went into a find edges, and it was completely like
What?
it was like looking at you can see through everything, so you can see my desktop. And I was sitting there, I was like, wait, no, this didn't happen. So then I clicked on another thing I had open. So I clicked on it, and it was fine. Then I clicked back on that, and I thought oh, just a bug. Still there, and I'm looking at my desktop, and I'm like, what is going on here? So I closed that Photoshop, reopened it, and it was fine. It was the weirdest bug I've ever seen in my life. And I've never had that problem ever since, but the weird things you get with Photoshop are I don't know. Just don't even get me started about InDesign.
You guys read that article. Did you read that article I posted a while back? About the what's it called?
I remember thinking
programming sucks, or programming.
Or you were saying something last.
I thought we were talking about
how, everything is just is like a patch over a patch. Like whatever works, just
it's all duct tape and toothpicks and super glue.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds like that kind of issue.
If you really think about it, it's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's true. I just
no doubt about
waiting
it.
for them to figure it out, which will never happen.
They never will. It's going to get more complicated, and no one's ever gonna. It's going to get worse, is what's going to happen, right? Unless you just, even if you restart everything over from scratch and deleted it all and started from scratch, it's just going to happen again.
Yep.
It's the first initial time that it happens is when everything goes bad.
Yep.
I think that's really that is our world, as we just,
Oh yeah. It what works in the computer is exactly how it works in real life.
Find the easy way to fix something. That's really what it is.
So let's get the blood boiling a little bit here. What
did you hit file open bridge instead
Nope.
of
Nope. We could talk pet peeves, but there's too many of those.
That's my biggest pet peeve. I've done it so many times today.
I want to go around and each of us tell the story of the time that Photoshop or whatever program you're using crashed and you lost the most amount of work without a save.
I actually have never had that happen. Knock on wood. And the reason is
I hate you.
And the reason and this is the reason this never happened to me, is because Photoshop has this beautiful thing that I know will be screwed up once, is when your Photoshop crashes, it recovers everything for you.
Yeah, I'm not so lucky with my story.
Although I have had some, that rush of I want to murder my computer does get to you when that happens, though. Even though you're like, oh, I really hope it saves, even though it does save. But no, I've had that happen to where I was in Illustrator, and I wasn't sure if it had a Creative Cloud, or the cloud recovery thing that they say it is, or whatever. It's recovers large document or whatever. But I was working on a character. I don't know. I was cartooning my buddy's face, and he was paying me $300 or $400 for it. Don't ask what he was doing with it. I don't understand. But he just wanted me to do it, so I sat down and I did it I was working 3 hours straight, and I never work for 3 hours straight. I'll take 20-minute increments of, taking breaks and stuff, but sat there, and I swear, I that point where you click down and then your mouse just is frozen there and you can't move.
Mm-hmm.
Click down, frozen. I automatically was no, please unfreeze.
Ctrl+S.
Right. Boom, explosion. Illustrator's gone. I'm sitting here in your face just blood red, and
yep.
I opened it back up, and for a minute, it didn't, that pop-up that came up usually that says recovering large document data, please wait a second, it'll be a little bar. It wouldn't pop up. It's I was sitting there in so much I I don't know the word. I was pissed and I was sad at the same time because I was like, I just wasted so much time, but at the same time, I'm so mad that I have to do this again.
Right.
Finally, a minute later, that pop-up came back, and I just sat there for a minute straight. It recovered it.
That's insane, and I hate you.
It was the scariest moment of my life.
I can't think of. I've had programs crash on me forever that I can't think of like a specific time except for it wasn't Photoshop. I've had my biggest pet peeve is just when things like when you've already saved, but then programs just hang up for doing something else. It's like, oh, I've saved, like just today, like I was talking about earlier, that Illustrator thing. I'd already saved, and then I just wanted to do one more step, and it was like, everything. You get that progress bar that goes about 30% and stops, and you're waiting, and you're like, okay, and you're like, slowly, maybe I should close other things out. So like I'm closing my browser, and then it I don't know if you get this. I get this where it's like, okay, I just closed everything else, and this program is still thinking, right? I've got nothing to do, right? Like my entertainment was the browser window while I'm waiting on this thing, like check email or anything. I've closed my email, so now what I do, can't serve the web, close that down, trying to. So then you just kind of sit there, and then it really gets bad because you're waiting for it, and it's like, I got nothing to do now. I can't.
You're sitting there, and it's like your ADHD. You're like, okay, seriously, come on.
Yeah, and then it says, and then the prompt comes up. Your computer is low on memory. We suggest close Illustrator.
It's the worst.
I've had that happen, but thank God for that recovery thing. Because what I do is like if you just force quit. Well, on the Mac, there's this thing where you can just force quit.
Yeah.
You just you hit it's like Command Tab, and you can just.
Oh yeah, well you can force quit in Windows too, but it sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, you have to do is go up to like this little icon, force quit it, and it'll just automatically like save the file for some reason. Even if you're saving it, it'll save whatever you're doing.
The worst crash I ever had though, where I did lose a saved file, was when I was first going to college, and I had a Macromedia Director class. And do you guys know what Director is?
Macromedia. Oh my gosh.
No.
Macromedia Director is what became Flash.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was called Director, and it was like our assignment was to create a sphere and make it look like it's rolling across the stage. And let me tell you how big of a nightmare that was, because when you would go in Director and you would say you'd have to do keyframes, right? And you would keyframe, X amount of keyframes over because you wanted to go across the stage, and then at the same time you want the sphere to rotate, right? Inevitably, every single time that ball would move across the stage but rotate the wrong direction, right? There was no fixing it. I must have pulled my hair out about a dozen times. The one time it works, Director just decides to like shut down. I'm done. It worked. This is like you're in. This isn't supposed to happen, right? It worked.
Mind blown.
So but for Director, that's no. I just broke the space-time barrier or something, and it's like it doesn't jive. Quit. So that one time, and that's probably the main reason why I get angry when I have to use Flash. I have big respect for people that can get around in that program, like Pixels here. You can get around in Flash. I despise that program. That's probably why.
I despise Flash, but I've never had a problem with it. Like for something about movement.
So I use Flash for years and years and years for direct marketing. And direct marketing means you're making a bunch of banners, right? So one of my jobs that I was at for years was to make a lot of those annoying 728 by 90 banners and 160 by 600 and 120 by 600 that on back in the days of Hotmail and MySpace, it was those big ugly banners and such, and doing all sorts of Flash things. So one of the things about those banners is that they call it trafficking. So you create a banner, and then you had to create it sucked. You had to create the Flash version, then you had to create the animated GIF version for people that didn't have Flash installed, and then you had to make the static GIF version that doesn't move at all because people's computers are like still dinosaur mode and they don't. You're lucky they loaded the website in the first place. So in the Flash banners, it was called a click tag, and you had to go in, you had to script in, like you couldn't just put in a URL. You had to like click tag equals target something URL, and you had to use all these special little like dynamic code things, and one grabbed one like pre-filled like the geolocation where the person clicked from. So like it'd grab their IP or it'd grab some other piece of data that said they were sitting in Dallas, Texas or something. I don't know. But nobody had a standard on that. So if you went to traffic that ad on Yahoo, Yahoo's like, oh no, we do click tags all this way, and it's funny because their department's like only one guy in the department knows how it works. The rest of them don't, and they just kind of guess. So it was like, and nobody wanted to test anything. So it was like, here's our banner. It doesn't work. Why? I don't know. Try it again, So we try it again. It was like back and forth, and then we get one working at Yahoo, and we don't know how it worked. Then it was on to Microsoft. Okay, let's put this on Hotmail. Oh, it doesn't work. We do click tags all this way. Okay, well, let's do it like that. No, it still doesn't work. You just told us that to do it that way. And so it was like all those little things with Flash, and it just makes me angry thinking about it. I don't. It's kind of like when you have to deal when coding. It would be like you have 10 different versions of Internet Explorer 6 to deal with, right? That's what it felt like in code language, where it was you had all your different publishers were just different broken versions of a website that you're trying to make something work.
I remember back whenever I was making those Twitch info sections, and everybody wanted them, and I remember Evan hit me up on Skype one day, and he was like, "Can you just make me a template of one of those, because I'm literally going to blow up my computer if I have to do another one of these."
That's how bad Flash was, because I had been using Flash for a number of years, and it was still like, I don't even want to open it up to try to build one of these. Pixels knows how to do it. I'm going to ask him really nicely if he'll just let me borrow one, because it's that big of a nightmare to go in and try to make one. And I just was like, I can't.
And that's the problem with Flash, with web programming like HTML and CSS and like operating systems and stuff like that. It's just like we were saying earlier, all coding is crap. There's no standard that is the same across the board for all browsers, all operating systems, all program versions. There's no standard, so people just make up their own fixes and patches, and that works for them, but nobody else knows how to do it.
Yeah, well, we all do stuff like that. Like I had a job where we used to joke around where somebody asked me where a file was, and they asked me what type of filing system did I use, and I said, well, the EEFS. The Epic filing system. It's how I know how to do it. I can find it.
Have you ever done something in Photoshop and someone asked you, how'd you do that? And you're like, well, I can't tell you verbally. I have to show you, because I literally don't know how to explain how I did it without showing you.
You don't remember. It's like, it just worked.
Do you ever have, I remember this was like actually in like a design class when I was taking 2D design, I don't remember what the actual, it was like a 2D design class. It was called like advertising in 2D design or whatever.
Oh.
And we, there was like a few, like I'm the type of person where it's like, I use my keyboard. I never have my hands off my keyboard. That's just how I am. At transforming things, rotating things, everything is just Command T, rotate. That's it. Like, it's just, that's how I work on it. And I remember, just you guys might similar situation, but not in school maybe. But it's like the teacher will teach you the correct way to do it in their eyes. So like they'll be like, oh yeah, you go it up into edits, transform. Like, well, I mean, yeah, you can do it that way, but there's an easier way to do it, or you do everything the long way.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm still stuck in, instead of using Command D to deselect, I go into Select Deselect. Like
Right.
people will just like do things in like different ways, and it's like it's
It's like one of those tutorials I put together a long while back. One guy came through and he says, how do you put it? Something about that you're showing people how to do this, but it's in a I think he called it destructive editing or something, or destructive. I don't remember what he said specifically. It's on one of my YouTube videos from way back, and it was because I didn't use like smart layers, or what's it called, where you change something to a smart element or something.
Smart object.
Smart object. So you keep that object and you just apply effects to the object, but the object doesn't change. You know?
Right.
And I was like, I was doing things like, I don't need this part anymore, so I'm just going to delete it, you know. And that guy's like, you can, and he had a valid point. He had a good point, that you don't have to do that. You can just use it as a smart object, so you don't actually physically delete it, but it just remembers the layer data. And I was like, I agreed with them on it, but at the same time, I'm like, that stuff was never around when I was doing it.
Well, it's that,
but you had to delete it, or it wasn't going to go away.
I was always taught by one of my teachers that as long as you get to the outcome, that's all that matters. However you got there, doesn't matter how you got there. As long as it looks right and it looks like what it's supposed to look like, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
A win is a win, kind of thing.
But if you have to reproduce it, did you guys ever how did you learn how to do video editing? What's your first experience in video editing?
Jesus.
I never did video editing.
Speed art for YouTube.
So what programs do you use?
For videos?
Yeah.
Oh, iMovie.
Okay, so that was your first experience, right?
Yeah, no, I guess the first thing I ever, I didn't know how to do slow-mo or speed something up.
No, I still don't know how to do that.
It was hilarious because, I remember, I looked at tutorials. This was back when it was, iMovie 5.
Okay.
Way back. Now it's, iMovie 9 or something. And I just, we had our Mac, because my dad's always been a Mac guy, but at his work, he's strictly PC. So we always had Macs in the house, and I remember I was downstairs, and I remember watching, back when I watched YouTube videos all the time instead of just making. I remember there was a few guys out there. I think Make Me Bad was one of them. He just did these videos where he would speed himself up, talking really fast and sound like a munchkin. So I used to think it was funny, and that was 5 seconds.
Funny.
It's funny. So at the time I was 14, 13. So that stuff made me laugh. So I wanted to figure out how to do that. Right, so I went into iMovie and I looked up all the tutorials, and I remember we still have the video downstairs of me just doing this weird face movement and with my tongue and screaming and stuff, and I sped it up really, really, really fast. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I don't know what it was.
Do you remember whenever you would get a cassette tape and you could do it where you hit the fast forward button on your boombox, but not push it in all the way, and it would make it do that and make it go really fast and sound like a chipmunk.
Nice.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I listened to the entire Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack in Munchkin voice.
Oh, man. I used to get real tricky with it. I used to get I did this in iMovie too. I remember this was back when I was really into Pink Floyd and the Beatles and Zeppelin, really back. That was my first rock. My first rock album ever was when I was 13. I still remember this day. I got Led Zeppelin 2.
Yeah.
That was my first rock album. So I remember and then I got the greatest hits after that, because you need all the greatest hits. But so I got Led Zeppelin 2, and I heard Stairway to Heaven. If you play it backwards, they talk about the devil. So I went to iMovie and like played the whole song backwards, and I was just like mind blown. Like, I don't know what it was. And then I did that with Strawberry Fields with Beatles.
Yeah.
And then I did a few Pink Floyd songs, and it was just so weird. And I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I just think it's so just interesting and crazy to hear that you played them backwards, but you used a program to do it. I ran the record backwards.
Well, yeah, I mean
the vinyl record of his sweetheart.
I was using just the little pen, and I put it backward. That's really what just happened.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, and I actually still have a vinyl record player still, and we still use it.
I wish I still had one, man.
No, we still use them. I still have. I actually still buy records. I'm 21 and I still buy records. Yeah.
Good. Buy them until you're dead.
I don't know what it is. I really think people younger, like my age, they don't really respect music to what it was back in the 60s and the 50s, even earlier than that. And I don't know what it is. It's almost like a distinct sound when you listen to like. I have Dark Side of the Moon on a record. So like when I ever listen to Dark Side of the Moon, I go down in the basement and I put on Dark Side of the Moon on the vinyl, and I just listen to it. And there's something about it. I think it's like the static background, something with it just sounds so much better that way. And then like I have it on iTunes, of course. I mean, who doesn't? But
it's Pink Floyd. Do they still tour with the what are those big speakers they have? They're
big bricks.
Oh, they've had them for years. I forget what they are. Are they big tube speakers or something?
Tube amps, like the tube heads.
It might be. I'll have to look it up. I remember the story of them dragging those things around, and then Beastie Boys did. I think it's the Beastie Boys video where they did Gratitude.
Oh, the big horn-looking amps.
They're using the Pink Floyd ones. Yeah, because they had such a unique sound to them.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's really. Yeah. No, and plus, I mean, I love the album artwork on those big, like 5x5. I mean, it's best way. I mean, it's
now you get the little PDF or the little JPEG thumbnails, and that's it.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's funny because you like think about it, and you go tell like my little brother he'll be 14. Jesus, I'm getting old, but he'll be 14, and like I tell him about I used to love listening to CDs, and he's like, "What's a CD?" Like they sold those in stores. And I was like, yeah, they had like stores dedicated to like cassettes, all that stuff, and it's just crazy to think like I actually grew up in that time. It was fucking crazy. I caught the end of it, shall I say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty much extinct now. I mean, no one buys CDs.
Cassettes really sucked when your tape player ate them.
Yep.
That was horrible.
Every time.
I used to record the radio on my cassette player.
Yeah, try to edit out the commercials.
Yeah, and then I just listened. That's what I did.
Don't come on! Shut up, DJ.
Or there was like that one time at night where there was no commercial. It was like commercial free for like an hour.
You get that one stupid DJ all the time that likes to talk over the whole beginning of the song.
Oh,
new song, blah blah, it's all playing, blah 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 blah. Like, you sell airtime for this garbage.
That's the best thing about Hotel California. It's got like a 3.5 minute lead in, so there's no way anybody could talk over it.
Ad space.
And here's another thing. This is another question going back to what I get asked all the time on Twitter or just on YouTube. People always ask me what do I listen to when I design? And I never can answer it straight because it's like it really just depends on the mood. Like I'm the type of person where if there's not music playing, my creative mind is just dead. That's just how I am. Like music is what gives me the creative mind.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed it for me it's kind of changed. Like I still listen to music, but now I'm finding I listen to some streaming Netflix movie. So I'll have like something playing, but I'm not watching it. It's just, I don't know, just
Right,
hearing.
it's just music to your ears. It's really what it is.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it's just like listening to music. I don't, like, on occasion I'll glance over and see what it is, you know, but then I've noticed, like, when I get down into focus mode, like, something is, I guess this happens more in code than it does in design or art, but it's like when I'm really trying to get something to work, it's got to be silent. And this is something I do this. I remember doing this like when having to write a paper or like you know, like doing a real hard math problem in school or something. I'd have to like just shut it all down, you know, and really kind of get into it. I don't know. It might just be me, but
no, I do the same thing.
But then other times it's like. It's like you can't get the music loud enough, you know.
That honestly, like it's so true.
That's how I roll 100%. I never design with music or anything. It's got to be quiet.
It's got to be quiet.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that
can't. We should do an experiment with you then. We should like Zach and I get to pick different songs, and you got to design something while listening to them and see what happens.
It may like open up another area of my mind I didn't even know I had access to or something.
It might, dude. It might. It's crazy.
I got some good truck driver music. I want to see what you can do with that happening.
Oh my God. There was that one guy you were talking about. I remember listening to him after. I was like, gee, why do you listen to this?
It'll grow on you. It'll grow on you.
The other day when I was coding that website that I did just recently, I sat down and I was like, all right, I had like a week to do the coding on this website, and it was pretty simple. I knew I wasn't gonna have to use anything but HTML and CSS, so I just sat down, I turned off the TV and everything else, and 3 hours later I had the entire website programmed.
That's crazy.
I just like. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but just sometimes you're just in the groove and everything you write is gold.
Oh yeah.
And you're like,
that's actually funny enough. The
bask in it that one time.
Yep. Yeah. You write something and you're like, there's no way that worked, and then you look and you're like, yep.
You turn the computer on the next day and it's like, I'm out to kill you.
That's actually almost identical to what happened with my latest. I mean, it's not really the latest, but the latest like personal piece I did, which was my Lost Island, that whole manipulation I did.
Yeah.
That altogether, it took me about 4 days of me stopping and because with those types of pieces, I've noticed in photo manipulation, you're always second guessing yourself because you have to make it look so realistic to where you're like, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
You're like, is that shadow off 1/8 of an inch? I think it is.
No, it's seriously like it's it's so bad, but no, it's true. Like when you make a shadow, it's like almost like drawing, even though with drawing you have to. Oh my God, I don't know. I don't know if you are frozen or if it's frozen on the craziest face. No, I had to say something.
Way to sidetrack him, Evan.
I'm sorry.
That was the greatest takes I've ever seen. All right, anyways, no. It's like when you're doing the, when you're just, if a shadow is a half an inch off, you can throw the whole piece off. I mean, in drawing, you can erase. It's kind of. I mean, in a.
I love that feeling when you get into a consecutive groove, though. When like you're in it now, Zach. I've seen like the stuff you've been pumping out lately with, they all have a similar style, but they all look good. The banners you've been doing.
Thank you. But no, I've been really screwing with colors because I was going back in color theory.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself like. Most colors that mix are opposite side spectrums. Most of them.
Yeah.
And
they all are.
Pretty much. But, I was thinking, what if I took colors that didn't mix, like, two colors that mix and threw in a color that didn't mix with them?
Oh, yeah. Well, Yeah.
I mean, and see what I could get out of it. And sometimes it works. Like, I mean, I remember there was a customer that came to me and he said he wanted red, blue, which I was like, yes. And then he goes, but I want green. And I was thinking to myself, like, do you really want Christmas on a banner?
You're like, let me design a Christmas tree real quick.
Did you notice which way did you go on the green?
That's where I tried all three. I tried to
more yellow and more blue, and then straight down the middle, right?
Yeah. Right. So, and then I tried really making red the dominant field, but that didn't work because they're too really, I mean, green is like, I would say it's a cool color, but it's not.
Like, well, they're all primary colors, so they're all trying to steal the show.
It was just a very weird combo because, like, if you added a green to like a red, it looks like Christmas on a banner, and like I was just kind of feeling myself like, if you want Christmas on a banner, I'll give you Christmas on a banner, but it's not gonna. It just doesn't look right.
Yeah, green is one of those ones. Like if I'm going more towards, like if you look at a color wheel, the green and red are sitting across from each other, right? And I'll go either up this way or I'll go down, this way. So I notice that if I'm getting more towards the pink, the green will become more sea green, right?
Right.
And then as I'm going more towards like a brick or like into like a red orange, then I start going into more of like a yellow green, like more of a line.
And I tried it. It's just
if you go right across the middle, red and green.
That's the thing he said.
It's hard to make that look good.
He said he wanted Sprite green, and I was like, oh god, like that is.
No, you're going to the. I had kind of an epiphany. I drew up this dragon for my wife she got it tattooed on her forearm. Mm-hmm. She went down to our tattoo artist in Redwood City, and which he probably hates me by now. I haven't talked to him in a while, but she called me from there, and when she was done, and she says it looks really good, and I said, well, what, because I had just drawn it in pencil, and I didn't think about color.
Yeah.
And I said, what color did he use? And she said he made the dragon red, and the belly was like a sea green. I was like, how did that look good? And she says it looks awesome, and she came back. Sure enough, I was like,
I think
I'm stealing that.
I think it has to do because I was thinking to myself, wait a second, red and green is like a traditional Japanese type thing, like with the masks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Red, green, like the green shield and stuff. But I really think that's the only way it works.
I'm looking at Pixel's webcam right now. He's wearing a red shirt,
and it's like green. It's a red.
Yeah, green blue light on it. Looks pretty cool.
It's a custom effect.
Is that a color correction?
Yeah, totally.
It's weird. It's one of those color combinations that
I like.
Work searches doesn't.
That's going back to like when I was talking about going back to school. That's another thing why I want to just maybe get a refresher and just talk to somebody that knows about color and just kind of,
Yeah, my favorite.
Do another 101 on it.
Yeah. My two favorite colors right now to use are it's like a really bright orange and a blue, like a deep navy blue. I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks really good together.
See, I like some of my favorite color combinations are using the desaturated versions of colors where it's got like a lot of the white influence on the color, so it's kind of a pale. It's almost like
right. So it's like
opaque. Yeah. I really like using those colors and like the red.
It's like a CMYK.
Yeah, almost.
In an RGB.
And the red and green combination in that, it looks amazing.
Yeah. I like those a lot, but it's like I've noticed, like if you color in Illustrator and then bring it into Photoshop, gives you that same effect. It's very.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's going back to print. It's using CMYK.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get. I used to. Well, it was called Rich Black. Like, I forget what it was. It was this formula. I think it's 20/20/20/80 or something around there, where it's 20% 20% cyan, 20% magenta, 20% yellow, and 80% black. It's somewhere in that ballpark. That gives you like a rich black, because it's instead of just having 100% black,
adds like a pinkish tint to it when you bring it.
It's like a jet black. It's weird. I still have never really understood why that happens, but it's just something that happens in the print kingdom where to get a real black, you have to, it's probably more just color saturation, right? It's kind of shoving more ink into it, and it's just naturally going to get darker.
Is black the inclusion of all colors, or is white the inclusion of all colors?
Black,
yeah. And then white is the absence of color, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that changes it changes for print, yeah, but for light, no. Because light, all colors is
it's reflection.
Clear.
It's white.
Light.
Yeah.
And then if there's no color, then it's dark.
Gotcha.
But print's
yeah, it seems like just maybe your printer just can't pump out that kind of deep quality of the combination of all the...
I don't know if
well, no, it's been like this for forever. It's like India ink was always a little bit darker than black printing, but it's still... I got, like... something on my tongue. But if you mix in a little bit of color, it makes it, at the right... the right formulas, it makes it true dark, or you get, I guess, true black, but if you mess it up, that's when you wind up with like a blue black type thing, or like starts turning brown on you. It's
God, it's bringing me back to like color prism classes. Jesus, that was horrible.
Oh man, this takes me back to screen printing when I worked in I think I might have told you guys this before, but I worked in a screen printer for about a week in college and destroyed all my clothing. And
yeah, I think that was on the last podcast.
I've been looking, I know, because a lot of people want to go like buy shirts, and I'm like, I mean, they're not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
And, no, I've been sending a lot of them to Custom Ink. They do, their prints are really, really high quality.
I've been looking for a good t-shirt printer for a while.
Yeah, unless you actually go with like buying your own printing press. I mean, there's really the only thing you can do is go to like a company that does it, or online.
That's what I've been sinking my teeth into lately. I've been doing the syndicate stuff. That's all.
Stuff.
That's all a local printer that a buddy of mine we're going through, and that's where I'm learning things there in back in the screen printing kingdom that I never even came across before, like different ways inks work, which I don't know, I find it completely fascinating now. It's crazy just how, and it's not really it's new to me, but it's like been there forever.
T-shirt design is something that I wanted to get into for at least a year.
My question always to, like, I don't know if you guys see band T-shirts. I'm sure you guys have, but band T-shirts, a lot of them have stuff in them that you can't do in Illustrator, like the grunginess and all that stuff to it.
You get a vector, but it's from what I find, and I don't know. See, guys like Sueda, like Jared, he knows a lot of tricks to this stuff, and there's a bunch of other.
There must be like
there's very few other vector guys that know how to do this, but a lot of it begins with live tracing in Illustrator. So you find a texture and you live trace it, and then you use that as a way to either knock out parts of another shape or something. Right. The one that I've been trying to figure out, like, and for some reason, this whole time, and there's plugins as well that will do the stuff for you, but no one's gotten halftones down right. I've come across, like, after halftones have been around forever, and there's still not a real clean method to do it that I can find just out of regular tools in any program.
I tried doing them in Photoshop, looks weird.
Yeah. I found a guy that has halftone brushes, though, that are pretty awesome. You can just... it works as it's for Photoshop, and it works as a preset. So as you use your stylus and your tablet and you put pressure down, it's like it's more like a mask effect. So instead of putting down ink, what it's doing is it's kind of allowing more halftone to come out or not. And it's really cool how it works. I was playing around with that. But like I've seen guys do stippling effects in Illustrator, and that blows my mind. I don't know how they do that. You know, how like the dot, the pointillism. Well, not pointillism. You know, stippling shading. Now that probably kills Illustrator. I bet my computer would have a field day trying to get through that.
Yeah, we need to.
Now I'm really curious. I might actually go figure out how they do the grunge effects in Illustrator, because a lot of those, like, you know, from my experience, you can't really get a clean vector out of like using a, you know, if you make something in Photoshop, get all the grungy kind of like texture to it, and then bring it into Illustrator, it just doesn't work.
Right. You have to do a ton of production. At least the same thing that I found. You have to do a lot of production up front in Photoshop to get the levels and stuff where you want to, and then drag it over and hope that it, you know, gets closer on the trace, and use that as kind of a texture. But yeah, dude, it's all mystery.
I gotta figure it out.
There's guys that know that stuff in and out, but have the same feelings when they go into Photoshop. It's like,
oh yeah,
I don't know how it works. It's magic.
Magic, man.
Yep.
It's like I saw a meme a few days ago that was like a picture of Rob Schneider just going like this, and he goes, or like, you know, whenever your kid asks you something, you just say magic.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny when I see the same thing when I deal with agencies, and they deliver. I think I talked about this before too, and they deliver like website designs and like Illustrator files and like even like InDesign and like print like documents and stuff. You don't design websites in, you know, vector programs and stuff, but it's
InDesign, that program is infuriating.
I had to use InDesign all year last year, and I have come to the point where I hope InDesign somehow combusts and just never becomes a thing ever again.
You think that's bad? You should go just Google the software called Quark. That was prior to InDesign, and that was that's like, do you remember growing up, like your parents would get like those big nasty catalogs and stuff?
Oh yeah.
And that was all laid out in Quark.
They use it for newspaper.
Yeah,
newspaper
I
layout.
can't stand the whole, because in InDesign everything's so low res, and even when you switch that setting to like use a high res, you know, preview or whatever, still it's so horrible. And like then you're just sitting there and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And
Well, it's kind of the same way like 3D. Like if you don't like get a good or After Effects, you know, you do a quick like play, and it's like it's going to be all blurry and pixelated because the machine doesn't want to render it out yet. Quark's kind of the same thing. It doesn't want to, or InDesign, you know, it doesn't want to show you the high res to.
Yep.
I don't know, because you know,
whenever
it's just
out.
InDesign is like, I feel the way about InDesign as you feel about Flash. Let's put it that way. It just,
oh no, I think we're on the same page, man. I hate that program too.
InDesign is just horrible. I mean, it's there was like we had to do a project. It was an 8 front and back 8-page brochure. And of course, everything they said needs to be laid out in InDesign. So, me going into Photoshop, I did everything in Photoshop and just dragged it on into Illustrator or to InDesign, which is, you know, what you really. I mean, that's
because it's a layout. It's a layout.
Right.
Thing, right.
Right. I mean, you just kind of lay it out in that. So I designed everything in Photoshop, brought it in. I was so infuriated for like 30 minutes on how I was just putting together the whole thing, and it looked so bad and low res, and just it was just, I was like, I designed something really horrible, and then I printed it, and I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty good. Like, it's not bad.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. I maybe that's just how InDesign is.
Try doing that.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is, and it people that are in InDesign day in and day out, it makes perfect sense to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Try doing that on a large scale. My junior and senior year, I was the design editor for our school newspaper, and we used Quark.
oh,
And it was terrible. Like, it's just so you just at one point during my senior year, it just kind of clicked how everything was. I got to the point where I could envision what it's actually going to look like as opposed to what it looks like on my screen. So I was able to just adjust my vision, and it was awful. It was so hard. I remember one article that I did, and I had crazily volunteered to design it, write it, and do the photos for it. And it took me forever. It probably took me the whole week to put it together because it was so bad. It ended up paying off because whenever we went to the state competition for it, I actually won. I won the awards for best article, best photos for an article, and best design for an article off of that one piece. But I was just like, it wasn't even worth it.
The headache.
I like swept the whole thing, and I was like, still not worth it.
Bad client. It's like, yeah, you finally got something cool out of it, and you finally got paid, but in the end, you still didn't. It's like, I wish I had never done that.
Yep.
I know exactly.
So that actually brings up something that I wanted to talk about last time. I noticed that a lot of designers, especially some of the newer guys, get really frustrated whenever they design something and the client uses it for a little bit and then they switch to something else. I noticed that a lot of people get real upset about that.
That's par for the course, dude. You're gonna run into that. Some people will hang on to that design until you're even calling them up going, dude, that looks bad. Yeah, I did it, but it's been like decades and we got to change it, you know? So, and then there's some guys that it's like flavor of the week, you know? It's like, yeah, I got it. And 20 minutes later, oh, I got something better, you know? And it's frustrating, definitely, because you put so much time into it, and I've had that happen to me a few times, but the biggest pet peeve I have with it, I really don't care if they change it. I mean, it's there. Whatever they want to do, they paid for it. They can change it. You know, it doesn't matter. What bothers me is when, say, there's something that's branding involved, right? And so, like, you put a lot of time into why a logo will look this way, or why these colors are here, or you know, because it's supposed to communicate what that brand is, or maybe if that person is the brand, what that person is, or something, you know, and then to see it get all changed to something that, oh, it looks cool, but it has nothing to do with, you know, who it's for. It's like, oh, you turned your logo into a cheeseburger. Well, okay, well, you know, all right. Okay.
The same thing happens.
But, you know,
I just don't argue.
I got so much, you know, I got a few hate messages from when I first started digging into this YouTube thing. You know, I did a couple designs for people, and I got a couple real nasty emails about, you know, you came in and you stole this person from me, and it's like, half the time I don't even know who did what for him before, you know, or it's like, get used to it, because this happens. This is, you know, you don't. I've never heard of like long-term contracts between agencies and stuff. It's like,
it happens.
It happens. They want something different. They want something, you know, in their opinion, could be fresh, and maybe someone gives them a better deal, or maybe, you know, they like this person's style better and they think it'll fit better and they want to try that, or they just want, you know, maybe they have ADD. I don't know, and they just But it happens, and you have to. That's one thing that I can't stress enough. That don't take it personally. It happens, and just move on to the next thing, because if you do, you're just gonna stress yourself out for nothing.
Yeah, the amount of times I had that happen to me was I can't even count on two hands.
Yeah.
The only time that it upsets me, the only time it ever upsets me is whenever they change it from something that I put together to something that's just absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
I still have a client that owes me money that did something like that. They were giving me guff over my design, and that I put a lot of time into, and then they went and released something a couple weeks later, and I'm starting, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe you're just blind, because I didn't even know what you were thinking, and it's just like, whatever, but you kind of, all right, I'm on this thing, screw it.
The majority of the time when someone does a switch on me, though, I'll message them and be like, dude, sweet job, like, a client that Zach and I keep bouncing back and forth between each other, Hello Gamer Girl.
Yeah.
We just keep throwing her back and forth, and she'll come to me for something, and then I'll put it up, and then she'll ask Zach for something, and he'll put it up, and usually whenever he puts something up, I'm like, sweet job.
I love Ashlyn to death, but she's one of those customers where every week is a new.
Yep.
Like.
Yep.
I want this, I want that. It's like, okay, fine. It's like, I mean, I get.
She's cool about it, though.
It's like a person that every single day they got a new, shirt on. They got their new outfit, and then there's guys like me that will wear the same shirt for weeks on end. I don't care.
Pretty sure I got T-shirts from high school that I still wear.
Yeah, no, same here. It's customers like that.
It's just par for the course, yeah.
Yep, just one of those things.
Get used to it. It happens, and
it took me.
And they probably don't know that they do it to it. It's not maybe out there in the open personal, but you do it to other designers, whether they know it or not, day in and day out. It's like.
Oh yeah, I mean, so most of it. I've never designed for somebody to, beat them. I just design. If they like my work, great. If not, whatever.
It's just taste. It's like if you sold your car and went and you had a Ford and you sold it and you went and bought a Honda. It's like you like that one better. Why? Different reasons.
That actually just happened. So
yeah.
And there's no way.
If you told the Ford guy that designed the car, he'd probably be like, "Oh, okay, well, sorry."
That's what I said.
But it happens.
I always say you never can please everybody.
Nope.
No, never, ever. You're always gonna have a bad client. You can even get to the point where you see the warning signs, like miles down the road, and I'm never ever that type of person. I just know where it's like oil and water. We're not gonna jive, and I'll just stay out of it. But one gets by. They'll sneak by, and you just have to you have to just handle it, and you have to do it respectfully and as politely as you can. And other times it's just you just can't. Sometimes things just go bad, but you do the best you can.
The words of death whenever you're doing a client briefing are, I'm going to give you complete creative control. And I'm like, God, I'm just going to kill myself right now, because inevitably you're going to put that design together, and you're going to be like, this is amazing, and they're going to just like lose their freaking minds whenever they see this, and then you give it to them, they're like, yeah, that's not really what I had in mind, and I'm like, I will force choke you through this computer right now.
That's when you hopefully have gotten 50% up front. That just happened to me recently with not that. That my other pet peeve is when I'll get projects that are, these have to be done now, and I'll have like 10% of the information I need to do it.
Oh my God, I actually had the same thing.
Yeah, yep. And you put in like it's like a guessing game. Like you're trying to Like they want this now, so I'm trying to build in parts or design parts that will get, you think they're going to use, and then they come back and it's like, oh, it's all wrong. It's like, well, do you realize you gave me zero information, right? And
Yeah.
you would give me, even if no matter how many times I asked, you didn't give me enough to go on. So,
and it depends
this
on
is what it is. You owe me. Pay up.
It depends on how they approach it too. If they go into it and they're like, oh, my bad, I didn't give you enough information, or when they're like, you suck at life, why would you ever do this? It just depends on how they approach the critique. They know it's their fault, or
with those type of people. I actually just had a customer. I've been working a lot of freelance work in like local band stuff. I've been doing a lot of band posters and stuff. And I did one for a family friend, and he was just very vague on what he wanted. It was, what I like. It's like, but I don't like.
That's the best line. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, it's like you haven't said anything.
No, he's like, okay, I need this, this, and this, and that's it. I was like, right, like, sure. I mean, thank God, what I designed, he loved, but I could see it going completely the other way.
Yeah. A lot of the problem times is when a client really doesn't know what they want. They know I need to get like,
or they give you too many options. Like I like this, this, and this.
Yeah, it's like maybe their business lawyer said you need a logo, and they're like, oh, I need a logo. Got I make like, I make tires. Okay.
I had this guy I designed a logo for, and he wanted his logo to he wanted it to be 3 lines laid out like a Y, so the 2 coming in to a V and then the 1 straight down, and then he said and then in between the gaps in the lines, so the 3 gaps in the lines on the left and the right of the straight line and 1 in the V, he was like, I want an hourglass, and an infinity symbol, and a Jesus fish. I was like, mother of God, what kind of logo is this? And I literally did it. Like,
that's when you say, okay, we have crossed into illustration land. This is no longer a logo. This is now, because that's another common thing that I run into with logos, where somebody's explaining it to you and it's like, okay, no, what you're explaining to me now is a graphic. It's not a logo, and you have to get down into, a logo is meant to be, think of it scaled way down onto like a business card at some point, because that's what a logo is supposed to do. It's supposed to be identifiable at multiple sizes and scale way down, and I think of it, it's going to look like a big old smudge.
The worst logo. The same customer I was just talking about. The original logo he wanted was NTO and some sort of bug incorporated with it.
Yeah.
And I was right. Well, that's. But then he showed me the exact bug he wanted. It was like some bug that he sees when he's fishing or fly fishing or whatever. And I said to him, I was like, listen, I'll do a logo, but that bug is not going to go with the logo. I was like, I'll do the bug. I mean, if you want the bug, but that's going to take me a lot longer, and you're in need of it fast. So that bug is not going to happen. It's just, it can't. It just is going to look wrong. It's just not going to look right. And he understood it. He was just like, all right, fine. But
you should give him like it looks like a big ink blot with like.
Right, and I was just like, you want your logo to just a big blob?
This is your bug, like post windshield. Here you go.
Exploding bug.
Oh man.
On the highway, hits a windshield. There
Yeah. It's a highway bug.
Well,
that was bad.
well, guys, I think that is going to wrap it up for tonight. And again, I appreciate Evan and Zach taking time out to come on to the show again. And I hope that we do many, many more of these. And we're actually going to be bringing on a guest next time. So if you guys want to see someone specific, someone you want to see on here with us, let us know, and we will try and get in contact with them, and hopefully they don't never talk to us again after they get into a call with us. But that is it for us, guys, and be sure to share the podcast with everybody, and as long as you guys continue to like it, we're enjoying it, so we will keep on doing it.
Yeah, we're staying up late to do this.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's about 1:30 here, so I think
2:38.
Yeah, I think for Evan's still like 11:30 or something, but he's old. We've been over this.
His bedtime's at 9 o'clock. In bed by 9, lights out by 9:30.
He actually took a nap at 7 so that he could stay up late. But in all serious, guys, we're enjoying it, so we'll continue to do it as long as you guys keep liking it, and that's really it. And you guys got any final words?
No, but next time we got to figure out a way for people to leave comments and stuff. We should maybe cruise over during the show, because I don't even, like, my brain shuts off at this time of night. We should definitely take questions and stuff. So
yeah,
tweet them at one of us. We'll save it maybe.
Yeah, tweet the questions at us. That'll be the easiest way to get in touch with any of us, I think.
This will be on vinyl in stores near you.
I'm playing it backwards.
Never gonna live that down, ever. But alright, guys, so we will see you next week.